Trill Bro Dude, and we got rid of the other Trill because he was woke. He was a DEI program to put more Englishmen and Irishmen, really just any Caucasian mutt, put them in control. Now the Fenians are in control. Thank you, Donald J. Trump, for bestowing upon me the title of the new Trill Bro Dude. So I'm in charge. First things first, we will be halting. I'm issuing an immediate Patreon price increase hike. We're going to be using this. Now, hold on. We're going to be using this money to develop new forms of slop. I have several contracts out with Raytheon, with Collins, with Blackwater. We are going to turn just any and all places into slop. Oh, they let him back in. His fob works again.
Hey, how's it going? I don't know if you guys saw the rumors, but it's pretty cold up here in Maine, but I don't know if you guys saw the trade rumors for the Toronto Raptors, but Kelly Olynyk could be had for the price of 2 protected second round picks. I'm hearing one of the number 1 pick in the most underrated draft that we had last summer could be had for the low price of multiple second round picks in the year of 2025. So I would say buy low on Kelly Olynyk, folks.
So another Sam, mute his mic. We're muting his mic. I'm bringing in our new correspondents, Bread and Harm. They're our new go-to person.
Did you decide to move the mic away again, Sam?
I mean, I can put it right here.
Yes,
and then I can't see any.
It's all right. We don't need to see your face. Your one fan, Honey Bread, on our YouTube page will be pissed. But
yeah, Honey Bread, what's up?
Honey Bread and Sam, a match made in heaven. Really, if you think about it.
Yeah. You can't spell Honey Bread without honey, because that's boo. That's boo thing.
Honeypot. YKB Honeypot.
We need to know when you were tweeting.
She's a instead of a Mossad plant, she's a Maasai plant. Honeypotting you.
I'm getting honeypotted. So Messiah had his chance. He blew it.
Yeah. Actually, that's a very good point. You moving the mic closer to your face will make it obvious. It won't make it as obvious when you're tweeting during the show.
Yeah.
So you could actually get away with it now.
Uh-huh.
This is great.
This is why I thought about it. I need this mic. If this mic could go like a little bit lower, it would be fine. But this is as low as it goes on my computer desk, so it's just right at eye level.
Amazing.
Staring me in the face.
A woman listening to YKB isn't believable enough to pull off a honeypot. That's a very good point. It's a great point.
What makes you think I'm meeting her in person?
Yeah, that's definitely not actually just Sam with a woman's Avi commenting on the YouTube to boost morale.
Trying to drum up interest.
There's a plant in the comments.
Calling Zach Lowe to tell him to tweet out about how interested everybody is in me as a single guy.
I don't even have a podcast anymore.
That's why he can be had. He's cheap now.
Exactly. The labor is way cheaper. Actually, before we get into anything else, not even doing a bit. Yeah. We actually do have a sponsor.
Let's go.
Kind of. It's friend of the show who is hosting us in New Orleans, Andrew from Sports Drink. If you're going to the Super Bowl, if you happen to be going to New Orleans a month and a half before we're going to go see the Birds in the Super Bowl, use the promo code YKB. You'll get 20% off all their shows. They're doing football themed shows all week leading up to the Super Bowl. They have a comedian who's doing an NFL-based show. They're going to have a Chiefs pod live, an Eagles pod. So if you are literally going to New Orleans for the Super Bowl, go check them out while you're there. And then if you're not able to make it for that, come to New Orleans with us. We have a bunch of people signed up. I literally just got my plane tickets yesterday. We're all set up. We're pumped to go. It's 2 months away. It's going to be an amazing weekend where probably all the Pelicans fans that are with us and all the Sixers fans that are with us are going to be rooting against their own team. It's something you don't want to miss. We're going to be able to go on the court after the game. Obviously, we're going to have the live podcast the day before the game. We're also going to have a comedy show with Graham K on Saturday night. It's going to be an awesome 4 or 5 day weekend. So if you are able to come to New Orleans, definitely check that out. The link will be in the description when we post this episode. So thanks to Andrew, thanks to Sports Drink for hooking it up, baby. So the great slop drought is over, Sam.
It's well, let's see. This might be a Jimmy Butler style "we're back, I'm back" thing that we might come to hate in a little bit. But it does seem like labor hero and king Rich Paul has delivered us one of the great deliveries here by an actually good player might be available at this trade deadline.
Amazing.
Saved us from the Jimmy Butler talking about stale, warmed over Jimmy Butler slop. Has mushrooms growing out of it. It's moldy. This is fresh, piping hot slop distributed into the bowls. So everyone come up, form a single file line or a queue if you're from across the pond, and come get your slop.
We have real fresh slop. Obviously, came out earlier today from Shams. There were whispers from Kings people all day that they had heard something about De'Aaron Fox potentially being moved. Obviously, they were not happy about it. This is something that, it's kind of been on the periphery of the season, but we figured the logical steps when a star requests a trade is, you do everything you can to make it work for that season, obviously, and then you kind of address it later. So what did they do? They fired their coach, Mike Brown. They immediately went on a winning streak. Obviously, a lot of the moves they've made have kind of been with Fox in mind. They originally signed Monk because Fox and Monk played together in college. DeMar wanted to come to the Kings because of Fox. The Sabonis-Fox pairing they thought would work better than the Halliburton-Fox pairing, which obviously it did on the court, to be clear, at least for a season or two. And now we are at a stage where after all of that, it seems like they might not want to pay Fox. Yeah. Now, do you think this is Fox? From what it sounds like, Fox might have gotten kind of frustrated with the direction of the franchise. It does seem like they've been aggressive in trying to make moves. Like they've been interested in Cam Johnson. I think they've floated out names. Now they're not names other than Cam Johnson. They're not names that I would be thrilled about if I were De'Aaron Fox. Kyle Kuzma doesn't really do much for me. Brandon Ingram and Zach LaVine certainly don't. Especially when you just acquired DeMar, you brought back Monk. You already have an offensively tilted team. I've joked about Monty McNair overdosing on the Hooper pill. Bringing in another bucket-getting player is not really what I would be looking for. Honestly, I was surprised they weren't more interested in a Dorian Finney-Smith type who was traded recently for the low price of 3 second-round picks. But now we're at a stage where I'm assuming the Nets wanted to have, 2 unprotected firsts from the Kings. The Kings, with their history, are afraid of trading away those picks. It's really hard to make the playoffs every single year in the West, as they have learned. And now, with Cam Johnson potentially not going there and none of the other guys really making sense for their timeline, it seems like the only logical step would be to kind of field trade offers for De'Aaron Fox. I wouldn't do this. I feel like I would have to be really blown away to trade a guy like De'Aaron Fox. If I'm the Kings, I think obviously there are probably other teams in the league that might be able to afford this, but he wants to be there, or at least has wanted to be there. He was drafted to the team, made an all-star team with the team, brought the team back to the playoffs, has helped them remain competitive over these last few years. And, I don't know, honestly, I don't know how we got to this exact point, whether it's De'Aaron just being sick of the Kings or the Kings saying, we're not giving you max money because we don't think you're a max player, but there's obviously some sort of disconnect here.
Yeah. I from what I've read, it sounds like what happened was there was some kind of meeting where, it basically Rich Paul put the thing on the table and said, hey, maybe it might be a good idea for you to trade if you're like not going to do this, which I think is what kind of set that like in fire. So I just put in the chat here a little Kevin O'Connor fake trade here.
Oh God!
I don't want you to read it. I want to get your reaction while I read this to you. Okay.
Okay.
So in Kevin's fake trade, the Spurs get De'Aaron Fox.
Okay.
Great. Okay. This is a 3-teamer, by the way. The Kings get John Collins, Colin Sexton, and 2 firsts.
Okay.
The Jazz get Kelvin Johnson, Zach Collins, Kevin Huerter, 2 firsts, and 2 seconds. So by my count, the Spurs are trading 4 firsts and Kelvin Johnson for De'Aaron Fox in this trade, who is expiring.
I know that KOC is a true Bill disciple.
Yep.
Because Will asked me before this, he said, you guys have to predict what Bill would say in his podcast tomorrow. And my prediction was, well, I don't want to trade Sohan. He's off limits. I'm not touching Sohan. I like that guy. He really gives a shit. I don't know. Keldon Johnson's just kind of got a lot of dog in him. And then, I mean, he would laugh at the idea that they would ever trade Castle for Fox, even though if Castle hits his ceiling, it's probably something similar to a De'Aaron Fox level player. And I don't even think he'll ever get there as a player.
He's not going to be that good. He's probably going to be a little more defensive tilted, role player starter guy.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
So my take on this, Priscilla, am I crazy? If I'm the Spurs and I hear De'Aaron Fox wants to come here, done. I'm gonna we don't even get out of that meeting. It's an hour later. I have Victor Wembanyama right now. Now.
If it was any team but the Spurs, I think he would go the opposite direction.
Yes.
I think he would go, if he wants to come here in a year and a half anyway, and I can clear cap space, what's the rush? But because they have Wemby and his Wemby obsession, and to be fair, I've kind of bought into that as well. I would be lying if I said I've said I think the Spurs are doing Wemby a disservice by giving him this terrible roster when I think he's clearly one of the 7 or 8 best players in the NBA right now. And if you put the right guys around him, they could win a playoff series this year. I really do believe that. Now, I think it's probably a little bit too late for that because I know it's easy to jump quickly in the West, but it's not very easy to add a player like De'Aaron Fox to your team and then make a leap in season. It seems kind of obvious that the Spurs are the team, right?
I mean, yeah, I hear you. And look, I've been talking to guys around the league. I got a text from one GM, and he asked me and this is something I'm interested in hearing from you on. He said, "What does De'Aaron Fox do that Chris Paul doesn't?" And we could talk about the athleticism. We could talk about how he's younger. Look at the payroll. Look at the veteran leadership. Look at the jump that they've made in the standings since they brought on Chris Paul. And you want to rock the boat for that?
Look, I heard the report about Rich Paul talking to Monty McNair, and I actually came away more impressed with Monty McNair. And the fact that he would put this out into the media and consider trading, one of the best players in their franchise to a team like the Spurs. Now, being honest with you though, I do feel bad because now the Kings fans are going to have to sit in the cuck chair for both the Spurs and the Pacers.
Yeah.
Where they have to now watch Halliburton in the playoffs in the East, and they have to watch potentially Fox with a generational player in Wemby in their Western Conference. And it does make a lot more sense though. Him playing with a player like Wemby.
Yeah. And
having, a defensive anchor who's also someone he can work off on offense. And, look, the Kings, even though they've been more competitive and scrappy recently, they've went way too far with this whole Hooper mid-range, whatever thing. And it's not like they got much younger. They signed DeMar DeRozan this offseason. It's, Keon Ellis breaking into the rotation's big. Maybe Devin Carter eventually grows into a role where he's part of the core as well. And obviously you want to draft well if you're trying to keep a guy around like that. But I'm just confused as to why, and I've said this about so many teams, and maybe the Kings get away with it here because of the fact that there's just no good star players available. And if you really want to make a push as the Spurs, they're probably going to have to give up somewhat of a haul to get him, because we haven't really had like a legit star player traded in quite some time. And because of that, I think that the market is kind of desperate for one to hit. But I've said this about the Heat. I've said this about the Kings. I've said this about these teams, that the Raptors were the most recent example of this. They waited too long. The best front offices always get out ahead of this shit. They always decide to make the move before it gets to this point, before it gets to, if you knew you were never going to pay him and he wasn't going to budge off that, or you knew like adding DeMar DeRozan wasn't going to make you into like a legit contender for the next few years, then what is the point of any of this if you're trying to team build? Like Monty McNair, I guess, is just trying to protect his job and will probably try to get as many future assets as possible. But like, we're 2.5 years.
A terrible way to protect your job, though.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I feel
but
like
if ownership gives you a mandate, is the difference, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like if ownership tells you can't spend this much money, but then again, you would have never signed DeMar DeRozan if that were the case. Right, yeah. You would have just tried to salary dump Harrison Barnes and then make something else work. But long story short on this, I actually I don't ever get what the Kings are doing. But we're 2.5, 3 years removed from them trading away one of their best draft picks of all time in Tyrese Halliburton to make this Fox thing work. And then the second they have to pay Fox, they go the other way. There's just no logical consistency in any of it. So I'm not saying I didn't like the DeMar signing at the time, but if the goal of the organization was to make a sustainable winner with De'Aaron Fox, which it seems like the message was that when they signed DeMar, it seems like it was that a few years ago when they traded away Tyrese Halliburton. It seems like they've kind of always put that out into the universe. DeMar DeRozan was never going to make it. Now, would he help you make the playoffs this year? Yeah, maybe. But he was never going to help you for the next 3 or 4 years, which is clearly what Fox wants to see.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think that all of, I mean, I don't even know if necessarily, because I don't know, Fox, you play for the Sacramento Kings, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
I had to expect this. It's it's the dead dove in the freezer. I don't know what I expected.
Yeah, like I don't even necessarily know if like, I honestly, what I kind of more read this as like De'Aaron Fox like kind of trying to be a good soldier.
Yeah.
And them just kind of like not getting it. And like him basically having to go to Rich Paul and be like, hey, they don't seem to know that I'm fucking out of here.
Yeah.
Like I'm not can you just like tell them that? Cause I feel kind of bad. Like to try to like get me there. Like I feel like his hand kind of got forced. I think he was kind of waiting on them to like figure that out themselves, but then they just signed DeMar DeRozan and like tripled down the other way. Just point if you're in the trade machine trying to like figure something out. They are hard capped at the first apron. The Kings are, and they only have 7 million in space, so they can only take back 7 million. So 41 million, 0.8, the most salary you can take back.
The fact that they are hard capped at the first apron with this team, that just really, and it's not to say that this is a bad team. It's just to say that like normally when teams give up that kind of flexibility, it's because they built a contender, right? Like getting hard capped at the first apron. Also, that might be another mandate from ownership. Part of like, all right, we got DeMar DeRozan back in the sign and trade. So if we get hard capped at the first apron, then we never have to go over it, and that can be an excuse. It's kind of why the owners got away with murder in these negotiations, because now they can throw their hands up and say, well, look, we can't do anything because of this and that. And Now let's look at the Spurs and talk about realistic trades.
Well, Jonathan just said exactly what led me to that. So he said, "Furious, the Jimmy Fox swap is impossible." That's literally exactly what I was looking up.
Well, that's impossible if you get Pistons involved, right?
I mean, you can get you would have to be. I think you can aggregate Jimmy.
I was gonna say, what if you just sent Trey Lyles for free?
I was gonna say, I think that's what it is. Well, I think you can just send him to the Heat. To be honest,
I honestly don't think it's any. I don't even think it's remotely realistic that trade happens, for a few reasons. Not that I expect Sacramento to ever do the right thing, but I think they're gonna try to save money and get younger in this trade. Like, I mean,
they should.
Yeah,
Obviously.
Who knows? Maybe they're just maybe I shouldn't say younger than Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're going to try to either get guys in their prime like Fox. Like, I think they'd be more likely to trade for Brandon Ingram than for Jimmy Butler. Now, do I think that's a good idea? Absolutely not. I think that's completely batshit insane. Every time they're linked to Brandon Ingram, I'm losing my mind because I'm like, there's no way that makes any sense when you already have DeMar DeRozan and you already have Sabonis and you have all of these guys who are kind of a clunky fit as it is to get another ball-dominant wing who wants to shoot a ton of mid-range shots and is not really someone that's like a connective piece on offense and is defensively limited. You're just, you're driving the team into the ground. Having said that, there are some machinations you could make work with like 3 and 14 trades if the Pelicans, would be willing to take back something else. I think what it ultimately is going to happen is this Spurs, whether it's now or in the offseason, because the Spurs really don't have, what are the Spurs rushing for at this point?
Nothing. I mean,
they have everyone under contract. They'll still have all the same picks this offseason, and they're not really making the playoffs this year, right? No. Or they could make the playoffs as a lower seed, but they're not going to be making a leap into the top 4 like they could potentially next year if they were able to trade for De'Aaron Fox this offseason. So if I look at what's happening with the Spurs contract situation right now, I would imagine that the contracts that work in here, I mean, you have to include, I would imagine the centerpiece of this trade is Stephon Castle, right?
Well, that's what I would target. I mean, maybe it's Vassell, but like, I don't know. Why would you necessarily want that? Because you would probably want, positionally, it makes more sense. You get younger, I think it'd be kind of a coup for the Spurs if they were able to hold on to Castle and just send back shitty draft picks.
I don't really think Castle and Fox is a good fit. It's
not.
I think if you're if you're the Spurs, you probably shouldn't look at it in the same way because this isn't your window, right? Like your window, your window just starts. When you acquire De'Aaron Fox, right? You can make other moves, right? You could go trade for other wings. You could get whatever. If I understand the Kings correctly, which I think I really don't have a great feel on it, to be completely honest with you, because they're kind of random in what they do. I would imagine the asset brain part of people's minds that we think about, and you would probably take the risk on Castle just because look, even if he's offensively limited right now, you're making a bet on his talent and his tools and long term. Now, I've never been the biggest Castle fan. We don't need to dive into that. He's had his moments this year. He's really good defensively. I get all that. I think from the Kings perspective though, they're still going to look at this team and be like, we're good when Fox goes to the bench. If you look at the numbers, Monk plus Keon Ellis, all of those lineups are still good when Fox is on the bench, as I've talked about before, because this team doesn't really fit together. So they're plus across the board when Fox is sitting.
I mean, that is bench units though. You know what I'm saying?
No, even in games he misses, their record's really good this year. That's what I'm saying. Once again, I've said this. It's not saying anything bad about Fox. If Monk missed 2 months, they would be fine. If DeMar missed 3 weeks, they would be fine. This team just functions better when it's not all of the same redundant guys overlapping is what I'm trying to get at.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like, if you have 4 or 5 of the same guys that want to do the same things and exist in the same areas on the court, it's going to work better when one of them is on the bench. That's just kind of logical. And what they probably will end up doing if they make a trade with the Spurs, I mean, like, if I'm the Spurs, like, if they really like Castle, like, I mean, I would not be like I said, like, I think his ceiling would be a De'Aaron Fox level player, and I don't know if he'll ever get there. I think Fox was much better as an offensive player even as a rookie than Castle is.
I'm laughing at the Evan Sidri tweet that was just sent in the thing.
Okay, the Kings will likely require one of their premier blue chip prospects, Devin Vassell or Stefan Castle, in order
prospect. Devin Vassell, the prospect Devin Vassell.
He's what, 25 now?
Yes, he's on his second contract. He makes $30 million a year.
Yeah, like, that's not really a prospect.
That's not a prospect. Like, it's just a player. That is just a young player. Like, it's I don't know. It's insane. I think if you want to stay competitive, like, I think Devin Vassell will probably
help what I was thinking. I'm thinking
more.
Kings brain. I think they're going to get Devin Vassell.
Well, and it's the thing is, he's not even.
Well, hold on.
He's
24. He's 24. No, he's a really good shooter. That's the one thing that he's really good at.
Okay, if he's a really good shooter, then there's like something to be said there. Because was he bad last year or something like that?
Nope.
Why do I have it in his head that he was
last
like
3 years? 38%, 37%, 38%, 6 attempts a game, 6.6 attempts a game, 7 attempts per game. His rookie year was the only year he ever shot below average from 3.
Okay,
he's always been a really good shooter.
So that's not like if you're trying to make your team make sense. That actually does make a lot of, because that's like the thing. I think that would really help them to get like some more sustainable like shooting on the wing and have some lineups where you kind of have an extra wing who's like, okay, now you're not going to be good like anytime soon. You're still probably like not even. I mean, you might be a play-in team this year, maybe, but like I don't know, like taking Castle. And then again, though, Castle doesn't really have a ton of upside. Like, you're still trading for a starter either way, you know? So
he's 24, and if you're doing this, one, I would imagine people have said that in the comments that the Kings swap is owned by the Spurs. They'd probably get that back in the trade, I'd imagine, because of the DeMar DeRozan thing.
Right.
If you're doing this as you want to have a best of both worlds trade, where which is what the Kings would want to do. Get Devin Vassell back as the main piece.
Mm-hmm.
And then also get like picks they have those Atlanta picks could be interesting. They have Minnesota's far out pick that could be interesting to get back like 2, 3, 4 first round picks. And then, I don't know, maybe figure out a way to either send bad money somewhere else, whether it's Zach Collins or whoever. That Zach Collins contract is like fucking nuts. Every time we look at it, I'm like, why did they give him this?
That's crazy.
If they could figure out a way to get that somewhere else, or even take it and send out extra money, find a way for Kevin Huerter to be involved in the deal from the Kings perspective, then I think that is something that might work for both sides. I'll be honest, I'm not high on really any one of the Spurs prospects to do a deal like this.
Yeah,
like I would rather just get. I know
Houston will give you anything.
Well, that's the thing is I just made fun of KOC and Bill Simmons for doing this because they do it every time. Mm-hmm. There's never been a KOC trade where the team getting the star trades a good player. It's never happened once.
Yeah.
But this might be the one situation where if I'm the Kings, I might be like, I kind of want that. like I kind of would rather just have you take De'Aaron Fox, take back some money and just load up on picks so that I can make other moves, because I'm not like, now once again, maybe they're higher on Castle. They did just draft Evan Carter. I know he's a defensive guard. They famously drafted Davion Mitchell, who's also a defensive guard. They also famously just recently discovered Keon Ellis, another defensive guard. Like they have a thing for these defensive guard types. So maybe Castle is the guy there. If I'm trading my best player, I'm just not like interested in any of those prospects. I'm not blown away by any of those prospects if I'm trading like an all-star level player for them.
Yeah. And I mean, well, that's part of the thing. The more I think about it, the more I think it actually does kind of make sense to like get Vassell, because like we talk about like I know he's like more of a wing than like a forward, but like you do end up getting like a guy with like size who can shoot. Like you do give yourself. I think that is a good way to like make yourself a good team, is like targeting getting like starting level like wing talent like in the door.
Yeah.
And it just makes the rest of your team building like a lot easier down the road. And like Vassell is like 24. I mean, I know I just did the insane tangent, like getting mad at calling him a prospect, but he is like he's probably going to be good for like another like 7 to 10 years. So,
and occasionally wings do pop a little bit later than other. I've talked about this a lot. Like famously, the age 26 season is kind of the do or die season for a lot of wings, where like you're either an all-star or you're not that kind of player. Like it's the more recent examples, you know, that guys that pop from like 24 to 26 are like Zach LaVine, Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
The difference is that those guys are crazy athletes, and he like Vassell's a solid athlete. He's not those guys. So long story short on this, if there are other teams interested, I would definitely scour the league to try to make some sort of package try to work. Where I either if there's another team that's crazy high on the Spurs prospects, I'd even be doing feelers on that. Like, to be honest with you, no, I don't think the Kings are going to do that, but I think that that's my approach to it would be. Is there a team out there that absolutely loves Castle and thinks he's a star? I'd be like, all right, how many picks do you want to give us for him? Yeah. Like I'm trying to do that. Like I'm really thinking forward if I'm the Kings. Once again, they don't do that, so it's not even really worth discussing. But also just want to kind of work this in. The reports that have come out have basically said the Rockets are not interested, which I was surprised by, but also like the Rockets are kind of awesome right now and are still really young, have a ton of options. The one thing I think someone said
third in the NBA, right? Second.
They're second in the West right now.
Second in the West, fourth in the NBA.
Fourth in the NBA record wise.
Still ahead,
yeah. I mean, like they've been a lot of fun, especially since Amen starting for them recently. Now once again with the Fox thing, does the fit just not make any sense? Because Fox is not, he's become a more willing 3-point shooter. It's not really what he wants to do. He's a very streaky 3-point shooter. Sure. And this is a team that is very obviously going to be building around, at a minimum, Şengün and Amen Thompson, possibly Jalen Green in the mix as well. And that is a hard needle to thread if you're trying to build out a core with that little shooting, if you are to get De'Aaron Fox.
Let me, how about this? Jalen Green and 2 Phoenix picks for Fox.
Isn't he poison pilled?
Yeah, but I think you can make it where
I know there are trades
automatically. Yeah, it's not automatically a no-go. It's just harder, but I think you can get there. I'll try to figure it out if that's possible, because that would need to be the framework, I think, for the Rockets like to genuinely be.
I mean, I'm not. Look, I know Jalen Green is good for 2 weeks every 3 months, but I'm just not. The poison pill makes it very hard to do. So, like, I almost think it's not realistic.
The Rockets are also hard capped at the first April.
Yeah, I just don't think that's
the biannual exception. They hard cap themselves to sign fucking Aaron Holiday to the biannual exception. Go to jail.
You don't get it, man. You don't
go to jail.
The Holiday brothers are always better in their late 20s. Stay woke.
God.
They were expecting that lead. He plays 10 minutes a game for them. And he only plays like once every few games.
They're creepy and they're kooky, mysteriously spooky. They're all together, rookie. The Gooner family. I actually don't know if Aaron's a Gooner like Drew is, but
no. Drew's got real gooning hours for sure.
Wife guy Gooner, something that we've never seen before. I'm still fascinated by that.
Yeah. I don't know. He's got layers. He's got levels to it.
Yeah, we've never seen a person like the first lawful good Gooner on the traditional Dungeons and Dragons.
NBA Hall of Fame. NBA Hall of Fame is debatable for him. Horny Hall of Fame, he's first ballot.
First ballot.
Horny Hall of Famer. We don't even have. There's no debate.
Even the baseball writers would be unanimous with him in that one. The Horny Hall of Fame. So
Drew Holiday and Mariano Rivera. both being first ballot Hall of Fame guys. Hopefully Drew stays out of legal trouble.
Jesus Christ. That trade doesn't work because the Rockets are hard capped, which is
there's no point in discussing Jalen Green for De'Aaron Fox trades. If they were to make that trade, I think it would be Fred VanVleet, which you can, and then picks, right?
Is it too much money? It's very close. That's almost. I mean, I guess you could just add Trey Lyles probably, and it would be fine. Hard cap, that goes over the hard cap. But
weirdly, Fred Fleet. I'm never saying it differently. I'm sorry. Yeah. Weirdly enough, I think De'Aaron Fox is a better player than Fred, to be clear. And I think that in the right context, he can be unlocked and be really awesome. Like I tweeted earlier today and I said the Boomers are going on a hell of a run. They got Trump reelected. The Eagles are in the Super Bowl running first. And now the 27th best player in the NBA just forced to trade a year and a half out from free agency, just like they always like to bitch about.
Yeah.
Those three things, they're on a hell of a run right now. Just you got to hand it to ISIL sometimes. Mm-hmm. I am like, I think that he could be, I think in the right context, De'Aaron Fox could be a top 20 player in the NBA. Like working off of Wemby, playing for the right team. I don't know if the Rockets are that team. Like I think with the rise of Amen and him being such a core important part, you need to maximize shooting on the other spots. And it's not to say, I know Fred's also a very streaky shooter, but historically he's been a much more reliable shooter than Fox. And he's also just kind of like a table setter point guard who will shoot off the ball and defend. And like, if you're building around those guys, you'd probably prefer to have him, which is why they're not pursuing De'Aaron Fox, even though I know Fox has some connections to the Houston area. I think he went to high school in the Houston area, if I remember correctly. I know he also has connections to the New Orleans area. I think he was born in New Orleans, if I remember correctly. So there are definitely connections to, he's originally from Texas. There are connections to these spots that he could have around the NBA. I just think the Spurs are the only team that could realistically do it. And like, honestly, I kind of think the Heat fuck them. If the Heat's goal was to get a player like De'Aaron Fox, I kind of think they fucked themselves by trading for Terry Rozier.
I mean, yes.
Because they have no picks to trade now.
Yes. They don't have any picks to trade. Like their salary is like fucked up too. Like, because because Hero's probably too good to trade now for like, unless you're getting like a really good player now.
You'd have to loop it into the Jimmy trade somehow.
Yeah. And Bam's like, going to do too much, and you're going to be getting like some gross fucking contract back in like this Jimmy trade, so that nobody's really going to want it probably, more likely than not. So, let me blow your mind here. Let me go outside the box here, okay? Because they said that they would be open to most teams, okay?
Okay.
The team. So let me think about this. De'Aaron Fox, DeJounte Murray challenge trade.
First of all, I would, in a heartbeat if I'm the Pelicans. Not even a fucking second. I
was gonna say that obviously they have to like add value somewhere, but like
But if I were the Kings, I mean, oh my god, I would be. Once again, if I'm a Kings fan, I'm hoping for one of two things here.
Okay.
Either we're figuring out a way to trade De'Aaron Fox for good players and picks, like the Devin Vassell style contract, or I'm getting back contract filler and picks or prospects. If I get back a DeJounte Murray, Brandon Ingram level player, I'm fucking jumping off the top of their stadium, because like, it's just committing to being mid in this West is just suicide. You're never going to be good enough to get a player that matters in the draft.
Yeah.
You're always going to be, and also the East being this bad means you're always going to get the 11th to the 14th pick in the draft.
Yes.
You're never going to get the 7th pick in the draft. Even you're not going to get, you won't get the lottery luck to jump up into the top 3. Like you have to be in this mode of, if we're trading De'Aaron Fox, we either want to stay competitive and have options to make other trades, like, and be at a plus pick value not negative pick value like we are right now, because they still owe for the Kevin Huerter trade technically, and they still owe for the Harrison Barnes salary dump, DeMar DeRozan with the swap. And we have to start gaining our pick value so we can either trade for good players, use those picks to build a core, or we have to just go basically full blow it up mode and just sell off everyone this offseason. Which honestly, at this point, they're not going to do it because that's not what the Kings do. Would you not consider blowing it up this offseason if you're the Kings?
I would have done it last offseason. Yeah, I would have done it when I traded fucking Halliburton. Obviously they've been.
Well, that's not true because you said they could beat the Nuggets 2 years ago in the playoffs.
They could have. But that was also a notoriously weak year. That's one of the I don't know. I was about to say that's one of the worst seasons we've had recently, but that's basically been 4 straight seasons of dog shit.
I have amazing news. I just got a notification for a new Bill Simmons podcast.
Yes.
With Ryan Russillo, the trade value list.
We'll be back to break that down on
Patreon
Thursday.
Episode. Let's go.
Thursday.
Let's go. It's Slop season, baby.
Slop season on Thursday. We'll be back. We'll be back for that. So
tears in my eyes learning this information. Yeah. The last thing on the De'Aaron Fox thing. The Nets, Ian Begley, who I've called the Tony Snell of reporters. I've never seen him ever get a report correct. It's zeros across the board for Ian Begley.
He's getting cardio out there.
Yeah, he's just not. It might be time to hang it up, bud. He never gets things right, but he did report. It's worth noting that he did report it, and then another New York person reported that the Nets might be interested in De'Aaron Fox. Once again, their fan base is the most impatient fan base I've ever seen in my entire life. And they were all like, yeah, this could make sense. And I'm like, no, I'm not letting you do this to yourself. Have a lottery pick for 2 straight years, okay? Then get back to me, okay? Let me just enjoy having a top 5 or 6 pick for 2 straight years. See if you can get lucky that way. If it doesn't work out, then you can trade for those kind of guys. Don't do the thing where you push in all the chips for mid and you shoot yourselves in the foot again, because we've discussed the long history of the Nets never drafting an all-star. Literally, I think they've drafted 1 or 2 in their whole entire existence. And it was a one-time all-star in Brook Lopez. And then was Kenyon Martin also a one-time all-star? I think that those were the 2, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, dude. Now Ian Begley's greatest hits are being sent into the playback channel. Yeah. But the thing that I look at is if you're the Nets, just be patient, wait this out. Now look, if this offseason the price comes down and it's a realistic trade and you can get Cooper Flagg and put him with Fox, sure, go crazy, have fun. Yeah. I don't care. But let's see how this plays out first. You finally committed to tanking. Let's ride it out. Let's wait it out. What is your prediction for what happens with the Fox trade? Does he get traded before the deadline? Does he get traded to what team does he get traded to? And what does the return look like?
I think he does get traded. I would handicap it at I would say 40% Spurs, 60% the field. Because I do think that there is somebody's weird somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, we do the slop thing all the time. How often is it the first team that's reported? I feel like that only happens 25% of the time, that the clear link ends up being the team that they're traded to, especially when it's something like this where it's a franchise player.
Anthony Davis with the Lakers is a certain one.
Yes.
I mean, that was the biggest one I can think of, right?
Yeah.
And then James Harden gets his way every time.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. So James Harden also a king of doing that.
James Harden's got a trade request 3-peat. The Chiefs going for a 3-peat, very impressive. I'd like to see Patrick Mahomes demand a trade and get to 3 different teams over the course of 4 seasons that was. That's real shit right there.
Yeah, that's he couldn't handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's not. That's bachelor only lifestyle. Brittany Mahomes wouldn't stand for that. So, I think I don't think I would be kind of skeptical, because the other thing about this, the Spurs are a little bit of a small bean drafting team. I don't even necessarily know if they would want to accelerate their timeline. Like, even if it's a trade that we would all do, where it's like, yeah, Devin Vassell and 2 firsts, and we're all like, oh, obviously done. I think the Spurs might balk at that. I think they like being on the clock and kind of being on a contracted like timeline.
I think Wemby changes the calculus a little bit.
Cowards are cowards. Sam Presti had Shea for fucking 3 years before he let him be an MVP. Like,
yeah, look at what that got him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They've been emboldened. Being a coward is emboldened now because we haven't seen the logical.
How did you make this about Presti? They're the number 1 seed, best record in the NBA right now. Shea's going to win MVP.
In the regular season. Yeah, in the regular season. I predicted he was going to be the MVP. I said
awesome.
That. Yeah. Because I know how this coward bullshit works and how the rat NBA media who don't tell you the truth like we do here, or I do. Trill is picked it up. He's got the disease. He's fallen for the Presti pill.
All right, I'm gonna just very quickly. I will be looking at. Well, do you know where Presti got his start? I think it was with the Spurs.
Was it with the Spurs? I know he was in Boston.
I think he was a Spurs guy. Yeah. I thought he was originally a Spurs guy. Maybe I was wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking of Sean Marks.
Sean Marks was a Spurs guy for sure.
Yeah. All right. So I'm looking at the Spurs cap sheet right now. Mm-hmm. You ready for my prediction based on this?
Sure.
One of the problems is that Harrison Barnes is also part of the matching salary.
For what?
Like he makes $18 million. He's like a good chunk of their matching salary on
if
trades.
It's Castle. If it's Castle, Vassell just makes it easy. Done.
So, I guess my take would be is that I think that the Kings would rather have Castle than Vassell. I don't know. They're so hard to predict, dude. It's really hard to predict. But I'm just gonna say this is my gut feeling. Okay. Maybe Vassell makes more sense for them because of everything we laid out and the salary and all that stuff. My gut feeling is that it's Keldon Johnson for salary, Stephon Castle as one of the main pieces in the trade, as a prospect, and then I don't know, Trey Jones or whoever makes the salary work, and then 3 first-round picks. Castle's on his rookie deal. It saves them money. They can sell it as an upside swing. Defensive guard. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that feels like something that could happen with the Kings.
I'll take the other side. I also think it'll be the Spurs. I'll give you a specific deal. I think it's the Devin Vassell package.
So Vassell's $29 million, and then you just have to throw in literally one other player and a first.
I don't even think you need to throw in another. I don't even think you need to throw in another player. I think that people are going to be kind of surprised.
Doesn't he make $35 million?
Yeah, 35, and Devin Vassell makes 29, something like that. His goes down. His contract is big now and goes down.
Okay, so he makes 20. So that actually, if anything, those kind of contracts are generally signed to be traded.
Yeah.
Just if they go down over time.
Yeah.
It's just something to keep in mind. So right now, Fox makes 34, and I guess neither of these teams are apron teams, right? So they don't have to match perfectly.
This a dog shit pick, and then their swap back. I think.
So you think it's just Vassell, filler, and
not even filler,
a pick and a swap?
Yeah, just Vassell, and then
I'm just not trading De'Aaron Fox if these are the offers. I just would be no, I'm good.
The Kings. Wow. Paul George, MRI and ultrasound.
Someone saw him, a little Discord slop. Someone in the Discord saw him leaving the hospital today and sent a photo of him. I didn't know if I'm allowed to say that because I'm violating HIPAA violation here. I'm not a doctor, so fuck it. So someone saw him walking out of the hospital and sent a picture into the Discord, and we assumed it was because he was seeking options for surgery on his finger that he injured, but it sounds like he underwent an MRI and ultrasound, which revealed an injury to his extensor tendon in his left fifth finger. They'll return to play, will be determined in the coming days. So, yeah. So I thought it was going to be surgery. It sounds like it's probably not going to be anything. It's probably just the pinky injury that they originally reported when he got hurt the other night in the game. Did you see the video of him driving through the parade?
Awesome. It was
not
so
the
good.
celebration.
Yeah, our mutual friend Dan and I were laughing so hard.
He hates it here so much, dude.
We couldn't stop laughing.
Paul George couldn't be any less of a Philly guy.
Yeah, it was just being on Broad Street. Like the fact that you're in your car, like anywhere near Broad Street during an Eagles game, like when you have
right after we won.
Yes,
clearly had no idea what was happening.
Yeah, he was cheating.
Jesus Christ. He was like, "Oh shit!"
No, that would be a nightmare. Imagine if you're coming back from being cheated. Just everyone's trapped you in the walking the pedestrians. You're trapped in all the people climbing the lamps.
Recent wings that have come to Philly have not had great luck in Center City trying to travel in the last year or so.
Yeah, so Jesus, yeah, really, goddamn.
Not really a good streak for the wings on this team. But yeah, that was really funny. I actually wasn't in the same area after the Eagles won when he celebrated that. It's fun every time, but it really was insane seeing everyone out again celebrating in the middle of Broad Street. And for Paul George just to have literally very similar to his feel for the game of basketball this year, zero feel on the city of Philadelphia and what we do when the Eagles win big games and advance to the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years, by the way. I don't know if you know that, but all we have to do is now go beat Satan himself in the Super Bowl. Should be easy, guys. I think that we should have an easy time taking down the guy who's only ever lost 3 playoff games. 2 of them were in overtime, and 1 of them was to the other greatest quarterback of all time. So really looking forward to it. Go Birds. Really pumped up for the Super Bowl. It's really funny because I just want to do a little Super Bowl sidebar here. It's really funny because I said on the last podcast, as I predicted before the playoffs, I thought we were going to get a Chiefs-Eagles rematch. It seemed pretty obvious to me they were the 2 best teams. A lot of weird shit happened in these playoffs. Obviously, the Commanders knocking off the Lions helped the Eagles get a home playoff game and against a divisional opponent, and I thought that they were just better than the Commanders, even though the Commanders were on a little bit of a hot streak. The Chiefs obviously kind of had a similar fortune, I would say, although they got to host a home playoff game either way, and I don't think they were losing to either the Bills or the Ravens this year. But the Bills knocked out the Ravens, and the Chiefs obviously knocked out the Bills. And leading up to those games, I'm always like, why does anyone doubt the Chiefs? Like, at this point, I did it with you leading up to the last game where I was like, fell for it again, LOL. Like, it's you were a Patriots fan, so you don't know what it's like being on the other side and just being like,
I feel like I'm pretty aware now.
You get it now, but it's literally.
I thought the Bills would be bad. I can't believe how I thought Josh Allen would be locked in, and he just had too much bozo mode. Like that was resurgent. That was a resurgent Josh Allen bozo mode game.
I mean, honestly, I kind of don't even really think that it could have been way worse.
It could have been. He didn't pick him off when he hit them like 3. He hit like 3 defenders in the hands in the first 3 passes. One was like bounced around. Yeah,
and he had 2 fumbles that he recovered.
Yeah,
I mean, it was. If anything, the Bills, in a way, it's weird to say about a team that didn't turn the ball over and was fairly good most of the night against a really good Chiefs team. But in a way, it feels weird to say that they got lucky in a lot of ways because of the turnover shit. Because the fact that they had so many turnover-worthy plays and the Chiefs didn't convert a single one.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs still got their, they got their weird catch that was a drop. And
I mean, that's literally the Julian Edelman in the Super Bowl catch.
Yeah,
it's the same shit.
I think they lost that one though.
No, they won. That was the 28-3 game. That was the Falcons Super Bowl.
That was the Falcons one? Okay. I thought that was the
That
Giants.
was why
there was a similar catch Julian Edelman in the second Giants one that they lost. Sure. I also like that fourth, the going forward on fourth. That's obviously a 50-50 call, but like, I said in the Discord at the time, there was never any doubt that where the refs were going to rule on that. I mean, that's
you
part
can't
of
leave it in the refs' hands, dude.
That's what I'm saying.
Sorry.
No,
yes. Like if there is a 50-50 call in a playoff game, you don't leave it in the ref. Once again, there are going to be things you can't control over the course of a game. But if you get the fucking first down,
bottom line, Bills had the ball with 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, they had a chance to win the game.
Had a chance to win, and they blew it. So yeah, so that by far like the least of it. But I mean, I just think your Eagles are dead meat. By the way,
okay, hold on 1 second. I will say this much. Who did you pick? Didn't you pick the Lions to get the Super Bowl?
I did. I picked Lions, Bills. So
okay,
I'm totally dead. I'm totally dead.
Awesome. The reason I say this, if I were Josh Allen personally, I would have just spun my body 360.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Actually, you know what's really funny about the Solak tweet about that? Is that everyone was destroying Solak. Like Ryan Leaf was like threatening his life. It was kind of insane, like wild.
Yeah.
But I had the same gut reaction when I watched it at first. I was like, oh my God, Shakir's wide open. Like that was the check down and he tried to make it insane play. But then when I watched the replay, I was like, oh, he literally had two guys in his face. He couldn't make that. That throw was impossible. And he almost made the play. Like now,
I was gonna say Kincaid had a shot at the catch. Yeah.
He should have caught it.
Mm-hmm.
But people comparing it to like the Mark Andrews catch a week before, that was a pretty insane catch. Yeah. Like to have to readjust your body falling down backwards with defenders running towards you. Like it was not a very easy
Spags
catch.
is a demon, dude. Yeah. Like that. I mean, that's the other thing is Spags is a fucking demon. And we've got that's kind of one of the more fun plot lines is the Spags versus your defensive coordinator demon. I'm forgetting his name right now. Fangio. Yeah. Spags versus Fangio. We got an Italian off, folks.
Yes.
Who can be more Italian?
Both with roots in Philly too, actually. Yeah. Spags got his start here. Fangio's from PA, is older now and returning home. I've said this many times. I don't know who's going to win. Obviously, what I was going to say was what's funny is that when it's your team, I'm like, how do people talk themselves into it? But then it's your team and you're like, we have a shot. Like, we obviously have a shot. I just want to put this out there. Anyone who's trying to do like analysis on any of this, don't waste your time. like if you look at the teams on paper, the roster stacked up one-on-one against each other, the Eagles clearly have the better roster. If you look at kind of the successes, like the advanced analytics and just general numbers around the team, the Eagles have had better numbers all year. That also was the case in the AFC Championship game against the Ravens last year. That also was the case in the Super Bowl last year against the 49ers. That also was kind of the case 2 years ago in the Super Bowl against the Eagles in the first match. When you're going up against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, throw everything out the window. Nothing matters. That is why it was driving me so insane prior to the Commanders game that people were acting like Daniels was Mahomes. Now, he's a great quarterback, but like there are levels to this shit. Yeah. And Mahomes is reached a level. If they win this, he's in like not just greatest football players of all time, like greatest athletes we've ever seen.
I think he's the second best quarterback of all time. If he wins this one, he might be already. Yeah, I was gonna say he's probably already.
I think he's literally has an argument for greatest football player of all time already. Like, I really think that we're gonna have to look back after his career's over to make the full assessment. But like the success that he has had before 30 has never been done in virtually any sport.
Yes. Nope,
it's insane how fucking good he is. And the crazy part about it is like, I don't even think this Chiefs team's that good. Like, and I didn't really think they were that good last year. The defense is better. I'll give you that.
Worthy's gotten a lot better as the season has gone along, and I think that does change things quite a bit. Because that was how I felt about them coming into the playoffs. They've been a much different offense in the playoffs. They were clearly like fucking dog. They didn't give a shit about it.
I mean, they didn't score 30 points literally the entire season until the last game.
They tricked me. I got tricked like all the NBA casuals get tricked like by doing regular season stuff in the playoffs. I got tricked as an NFL casual by the Chiefs.
I mean, they did it last year.
Yeah.
It was and also it was more extreme last year. They only lost one game this year when they played their starters.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing that was like so insane to me about everyone being like, it's the Bills' year. And I was like, the Bills were the overachievers this year. Like, now, once again, if you break it down like one score games and shit, sure. But the Chiefs just always figure out a way to win outside of literally that one Bills game that was in Buffalo. So if you flip if it's a coin flip game, I'm going to take the team that's at home in the AFC Championship game. And especially the team that is like a legit dynasty. And so here's the thing. I actually do think that if there is a team that you could build, the 49ers, I actually think this Eagles team is very similarly built to the 49ers team from last year. And the 49ers took them, but the 49ers took them to overtime is what I'm saying. 2 years ago, and there are a lot of players that were on this team from 2 years ago. The Eagles, it came down to the final drive. Now, are the Chiefs going to win? Yeah, sure, probably. But I don't think that it's like the Eagles are no hopers. This is the best Eagles team of my life. And if they lose, they just ran into the best. I can't even feel bad about it. We're literally watching insane shit happen.
I think the Eagles are a better team, but it's just going to be the satanic magic. It's like, what's going to happen? It's going to be the third fucking snap of the game. Yeah. And all of a sudden, Romo got Jalen Carter. He's getting up. He's getting up a little, like so something. So there's going to be some stupid bullshit like that. Like is going to.
Well, last year was Dre Greenlaw before the Super Bowl. I don't know if you remember that, but he tore something on the sideline before the game.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I did forget about that. That's what I'm saying. Like shit like
Achilles,
that.
That was
Achilles. Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
Like that's crazy. Some shit like that is going to happen. I mean, this game's going to come back to like who turns the ball over the most. I mean, I think that this is.
I don't think either of these teams have a turnover in the playoffs, right? Did the Chiefs have a turnover in the Texans game? I don't think either of them have turned the ball over.
I think they did. No, I think did Mahomes throw a? Yeah, I think Mahomes threw a pick.
They had one versus the Bills. Okay. Oh, the Chiefs did have one versus the Bills. Yeah, good call.
Yeah, that was a fumble.
Okay. Yeah, fumble. Okay, so the Eagles have had none.
Yeah. Oh, and the Chiefs fumbled on Sunday too. So.
Well, that was Sunday.
Yeah.
So that's just. It's going to be an amazing game. I'm going to be throwing up nervous. But it's going to be a really, really good game.
It hurts me to see my beautiful Philadelphia mutuals go through this. I don't.
I'll say this much. This team is way better than that Bills team. This team is way better than that Texans team. The Eagles also really only faced like one legit opponent. Like the Commanders were overachieving with a great fun story, but that defense is horrible. Yeah. The Packers were just way too injured. The Rams were the one legit team, and it came down to the end of the game, and the Eagles almost choked it away. So either way, it's going to be fun. I'm probably gonna.
It'll be fun. Somebody clip that. And I want that coming back in 2 weeks.
Even if they're up 17 with 5 minutes left, I'll be throwing up on myself. Like, you don't understand. Bro, when the Eagles were up 3 scores with 10 minutes left the other day, we were all still like hyperventilating. Like,
I know you guys.
We're like not, I never feel good until it hits 0.
Yes.
But this Eagles team, I will say that definitely the best Eagles team of my life, including the one that won the Super Bowl. Definitely better than the team from 2 years ago. They have a shot. So anyway,
I hate Warriors are the front runner for Jimmy, by the way.
Who said that?
Shams did.
Oh, I think Peter's just trolling.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. He's not.
Okay.
Peter knows we're serious.
Okay. Here. So Jimmy is. God damn it. I hope SH is not in the comments right now. So all this year I've been saying there's no way the Warriors. My whole thing about the Warriors has been they're not really interested in making star upgrades. They want to be cheap. They want to tease their fans. Oh, we might get Lauri Markkanen. Oh, we might get Paul George. Oh, we might get Jimmy Butler. And then they never get any of these guys and they go, maybe our window passed. But it does sound like, from what KOC said and from what Shams has said, it sounds like because of this most recent debacle with Jimmy Butler and Pat Riley, which is amazing.
It's awesome.
Hayward Highsmith over me.
God, he's going to be so annoying. He's going to be so annoying after he gets traded, man. It's going to be great.
Dude, to put out that I'm back press release like you pointed out.
Get over it.
and then play what, 3 games, 2 games, not give a shit in any. I think he only played 2 games. To basically just not even care, then get suspended again, show up to the facility, be told that you're not starting anymore, and then get suspended indefinitely and play your last game with the team is just, I mean, no one will ever touch Prime Harden in terms of trade requests, but he's basically, it's the Jordan and LeBron of trade requests for sure. God, not quite like most efficient, never losing at the top, Jordan shit, versus Jimmy's been doing this. I guess Jimmy's been doing it longer, technically. Yeah, Jimmy's done it longer. Although, unless you count the Thunder trade request for Harden, from 12 years ago. But either way, Jimmy and Harden are very clearly at the top of that trade request mountain. And yeah, Harden's trade request peak is crazy to get 3 in a row like that, exactly how we wanted, and done pretty fast. I mean, Jimmy's dragging it out just like LeBron's had more longevity with his career, but Jimmy seems like he's probably going to end up on either the Suns or the Warriors now, and it sounds like the other 2 wildcard teams are the Bucks or the Grizzlies. I don't think the Bucks thing makes any sense. I don't think that's going to happen. I also don't like the fit for that at all.
Yeah. The Grizzlies, Jimmy hates it there.
Jimmy doesn't want to go there because he knows they're broke boys. And he knows they're not going to pay him.
God. Jimmy going to the Warriors. Somebody had a framework that interested me. By the way, I just want to point out another rumor that went out today is that the Heat are interested in Julius Randle.
That's not real. It's Ian Begley, dude.
No, it's real to me. I've decided.
It's real to me.
It's real to me. I've decided that passes how I want the world to be. I'm using my Lathe of Heaven powers to manifest that. Dude, he would be a perfect Miami Heat. For the Pat Riley, this era of Pat Riley, he's perfect. He would give you
Barry Jackson say
43 and.
Hold on. Did Barry Jackson say the Heat were interested in Julius Randle, or did he say Julius Randle would be open to going there? Because those are 2 different things. He does not feel like a Heat player at all to me. He constantly takes off defensive possessions, is whining all the time. Yep. Jimmy had to buy into their whole thing. And now they're having a messy divorce over it. Randall is just not a Heat player to me at all. And also doesn't fit with Bam and Ware. What is that? Is that?
It's going to be perfect. No. You're missing the forest for the trees here. He is going to drag their floor, make them a perfect 43 and 39 team for decades, and it's going to be wonderful. He's going, the Randall number's going up in the rafters. New Alonzo Mourning just dropped.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. I mean, look, I would love to see it. I would love to see it. Can I see it?
Yeah.
But I don't think, I'll say this much. I don't think Julius Randle's going to end up on the Heat. And I don't think Luka Doncic is going to end up on the Heat as a free agent a year from now and turn down the largest contract in the history of the NBA to go play for the Heat. Just a hunch. Just a little hunch I have that will not be happening.
Are you sure?
Just a little hunch that he will be accepting day one that Supermax from the Dallas Mavericks. Just a thought. Just like every other player that's ever been offered the Supermax.
What if well, I don't know. What if he had, for political reasons, he decides Miriam Adelson isn't someone he wants to take money from, so he instead goes to Mickey Arison. Have Mickey Arison be his owner. Yeah.
The morality scale in the NBA is it's very good, folks. Some would say we're the most moral league in the world.
Yeah, it's true. It's nothing but good owners, top to bottom.
Yeah. But so this is why I think that I first off, I can't believe that we've gotten this Jimmy Slop dragged out so long.
I can.
Pat Riley is really reaching, we already knew Pat Riley's a psychopath.
Yes, pervert.
But I didn't think that he had because to me, he feels more like Daryl Morey dragged this out because Daryl doesn't care about what anyone else thinks, what anyone else feels. Pat Riley feels like the kind of guy that would be like, get him the fuck out of here. He would be like vengeful and be like, send him where he doesn't want to go type shit, as opposed to Daryl, who's like, yeah, I'll sit with this. I'll put my hands on the stove and watch it burn and just let this shit happen and blow up the whole organization. Pat Riley feels like the kind of guy that would just be like, get him out of my sight. I want to move on from this whole thing, and let's send him to the place that he doesn't want to go the most. Now, what was the Warriors frame? The general Warriors framework has been kind of the same shit we've been discussing, right? Like,
I think it's
Andrew Wiggins and Gary Payton II. And if you're the Heat at this point, that would be great. Jimmy Butler's not playing for you. He's basically an expiring contract, even worse than an expiring contract, to be completely honest with you, because he's picking up that option this offseason.
Do you think they try to get Podziemski in there, buy low on Podziemski? Or do you think the Warriors? I can't tell if the Warriors,
the Polish man.
Yeah, bring up
the Podziemski.
The Podziemski. I think I would like that for the Heat. I think this is a good time to buy low. I think Podziemski's good. I think this is kind of a weird freak down here.
The quirked up white boys in South Beach, Hero and Pods.
Yeah. God, that would be amazing. I was going to say, you need more Polish. He could have like a Grand Theft Auto like spinoff. That's like the last time. That's the only time there's ever been Polish people in Miami is Grand Theft Auto 4. So
Grand Theft Auto 6 Vice City style.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
we're changing the branding. The branding
yeah.
Podcasting.
Yeah.
So if the price is low enough, which is basically just, I don't think they would have to give up Pods, to be honest with you. I think what it would come down to is like, you just give up like Wiggins. Kyle Anderson's not in their rotation, right? I don't even think Kyle Anderson plays for them. So like Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, Gary Payton II, and seconds or something. Looney, sure. Who gives a fuck? Whatever it takes to match the salary for Jimmy Butler is all I'm offering. Because what are the Heat going to offer you? Bradley Beal, who you don't want his contract, he also has to waive his no-trade clause. They just, once again, we talked about this on the last episode, whether it was a week ago or I can't even remember when we did it. Oh, it was the Trade Machine War Crimes episode. The Suns making that trade without having a Jimmy Butler trade set up is the most mind-blowing thing I've ever seen in my life.
12D chess, baby.
What are they doing? What if we took our really valuable pick and made it worthless?
It's not like that pick was going it's not like that trade was going anywhere either. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you had to like get it done for the sake of like what was coming up. Like they're awesome, dude. They're saving Slop season, by the way. The Suns. Ishbia, our beautiful king.
I mean, between Ishbia, Riley, and Vivek, we've got a holy trinity of saving Slop season. I honestly thought this was going to be the worst trade deadline we've ever had.
It might still be.
But we're at least getting feelers for the offseason at a minimum.
That's true. Yes.
Which truly bad trade deadlines, we don't even get these rumors. So now we're at least getting an idea of who could be available and what moves could be set up for that. Like we're 9 days away from the trade deadline. By the way, we'll be streaming for that on playback. Watch with us all day on the day of the trade deadline for Slot Fest. Like we're like 9 days away, and I think we could get an idea of what teams are going to do after the trade deadline because of the moves that they make at a minimum. Jimmy's certainly getting traded. Mm-hmm. Fox might get traded. I think Cam Johnson probably still gets moved. So we'll have a few names that are out there that I was starting to feel like this was actually going to be. I might be getting the Fell for It Again award, to be honest.
Yeah, so we all cover it.
Because I think Masai blowing it up early last year made me think that was going to be more common. But then I realized Masai is not bound to anyone's rules. Masai just does whatever the fuck he wants at all times, including like whatever they're doing right now.
You either die and nothing ever happens, or you live long enough to see your Fell for It Again.
It's very, very clearly what happened.
Yeah, it's gonna be happening. I am encouraged. I think the De'Aaron Fox stuff feels more real than the Jimmy. I know like all this Jimmy stuff is going on. But like,
no, Jimmy is getting traded, dude. Jimmy's getting traded. If Jimmy isn't getting traded, then the Miami Heat are literally shooting themselves in the foot because he's going to opt into the contract, and they're going to have to do this all over again in the summer, and his value is going to be worse.
Is a psychopath. They might Pat Riley hates losing though, dude. They might take this to like arbitration and like make the union defend this, like the not showing up to work thing, which would be very interesting, by the way, like how that would go down. Like
I would fully support Jimmy in this instance because I'm an abolished work guy. So yeah.
Unions.
Also, I want to just point out here, I would have agreed with you a week ago because I kind of was like, he might just do it to spite him at this point.
Yeah.
But the cope that's coming out from the Heat, like they're laying out groundwork for a bad return. There are Heat reporters that are out there now. They're like, this isn't a trade we're going to win, quote unquote. If you wanted to win the Jimmy Butler trade, you trade him last offseason.
Yeah.
Once again, I talked about the importance of nailing your window and honestly, like, to be fair, they could have never seen Tyler Hero. I mean, they should because they're demonic. Yeah. But they couldn't have ever seen Tyler Hero making a leap combined with Ware being this good as a rookie.
Yeah.
Although if he looked really good at Summer League and like I liked him a lot as a prospect. Like I don't know why you wouldn't.
I think we both said they should look into trading Jimmy last offseason.
We talked about it all the time.
Yeah.
We're like, it makes no sense that they're holding on to him and waiting. Yeah. And I didn't even think it would get this bad. I thought that it was very obviously just going to be like one of those things where it's like, let's part ways. But it didn't think it was going to be this huge, messy breakup, which has now drove his value into the ground. Low-key, I've said it. I think that outside of drafting, they have one of the worst front offices in the NBA, and they never get criticized. Like, I think that Spo has covered up a lot. I think Jimmy's covered up a lot. And I know the whole culture thing, like they're playing well without him right now, which really doesn't put a ton of pressure on them to make trades. But I do think that over time, like, do stars ever put them on their list anymore for trades? No. The last one that did was Bradley Beal, and no one wanted Bradley Beal except for the Suns, and they were on pharmaceuticals.
And I think before that it was Gordon Hayward, which is very funny.
To be fair, Dame did.
Okay, that's true. Yeah. I forgot about that one.
But the Heat just didn't play ball. Now, once again, if you're not going to play ball and also you want stars to come there, I don't know. I think that you need to make a better situation for this next crop of younger stars to want to go play there. That's just my take. I think they kind of suck, to be honest. They're good at drafting though. And obviously Spo's a demon when it comes to developing guys. Yeah.
God, can you imagine if the Lillard trade had happened? God. We were so close to ruining this franchise for decades.
What was it? The Dame trade?
Yeah.
So if the Dame trade had happened, I'm still dying on the island that he would have just taken HGH and been the best version of himself.
I still think that guy kind of sucks. I don't know. Like, I don't know. He didn't work out all offseason because he was scared of getting hurt. That's still one of the most insane things that I've ever heard. Like, he didn't want to get hurt. That's what I say.
I understand. When I was at the Eagles celebration the other day, I wasn't screaming "Go Birds" because I didn't want to fry my vocals for this episode. Exactly. I'm not even joking. I literally didn't do. Let's go. I was like starting to lose my voice, and I was like, "Wait, I can't lose my voice because of the Hogs."
Yeah, I was saying they're going to demand their Slop season. Yeah.
Worst time.
It's the moneymaker. Yeah. When I show up on a Hinge date and I weigh 40 pounds more than I do in any of my old pictures from 5 years ago, I said that I can't work out. I couldn't risk getting hurt for the date.
Also, to be fair, that's exclusively a guy thing. I literally had this conversation at a party the other day. Yeah. Girls always have updated photos of themselves on dating apps because they take photos.
Yeah, that's true.
Guys don't. So I remember when I was on dating apps, all of my photos were like 4 or 5 years old or like 3 years old because all of them were from when I was hanging out with my friends who were girls and they were taking pictures. So I would have to just like have like me and so you try to like crop other people out of your photo.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you put the emoji over the top of them.
Yeah. It is a little bit misleading because like I had a shaved head on when I was in college and I have had long hair ever since.
Yeah.
So my girlfriend was pissed when we started dating and she's like, why don't you shave your head? And that was because I literally only had a handful of photos on my dating app that were from when I was 24 when I was on the dating app and I was 21 in the photo. And I was not fully bald, but I had a shaved head, you know.
That's awesome. That's amazing. I was fully bald. I have pictures of there's pictures of me bald that someday if the Hoggies want to try to find them.
I was gonna say I think every guy in our generation at one time was like, I'm going to buzz my hair.
Yeah. Yeah, I literally was because I didn't want to pay $50 for like haircuts because I was like drinking at the time. Like, I could like get drunk on that. For,
when
like,
I was in college, my
so,
friends would just cut my hair. Yeah.
So I would just shave my shave. We would just have to shave the head. So
it's good for you. Yeah, I'll send the photo in the Discord later so everyone can make fun of me. Also, I did kind of catfish my girlfriend, to be fair.
Yeah, let's go. Will alluding to my old YouTube presence with my parody song Tyler Zeller Should Start, which was
Turn around.
Yeah,
I've heard it.
It's good. It's good.
There's some deep cuts out there. If you
I worked hard.
Don't search too far into my deep cuts though, please. Some embarrassing ones.
Yeah, all of my stuff is decidedly not embarrassing.
Oh wait, no, never mind. Trump is president again. Being canceled's over. I forgot.
Yeah, we can't be canceled anymore.
Yeah. I tried to cancel the guy from Pod Save America on Twitter yesterday, but it didn't work.
His ass. You sent him to hell.
I did cook his ass. Actually, I'm not even gonna lie. I had him. I absolutely had him. I had him in the fucking Thunderdome, dude.
He blocked Peter. That's awesome.
He did. I don't think he blocked me. I did. I had no idea he was actually going to reply to me. I quote tweeted that because I figured it was 24 hours later and I was just going to get jokes off. And then he replied and I was like, you're a millionaire. Why are you replying to me? Go live your life and live off your war crimes you supported.
Yes.
God, go have fun.
Guys. Fuck those
guys.
Yeah,
you don't have to worry about the rise of fascism. You're protected from it.
Yeah. Cooking, Peter. Good job.
So did you see, by the way, there was another report about the Bulls basically doing what we've said they should do.
Yeah.
Which is they're finally open to trading everyone on the roster except for Matas Buzelis, which we've said. Now that's more I'm Lucy with the football. I I want to see it.
Do we think that, or do we think they got a new mailroom sorting guy who doesn't know that you have to take Kevin's magazine cut up lettering letters that he sends in every week and throw them out? Do you think they've just been delivering
the ransom notes?
Yeah, Kevin just sending Karnasovis's address to him in lettering from a magazine. So
yeah, I have a hunch that the Bulls are going to be not the most active team at this deadline. I'm just until they fucking do it, I'm not believing it.
Yeah,
they literally of any team, even the Raptors pulled the plug before.
That is true, dude.
They did. Like they sat on their hands with the DeMar thing, and then they got nothing for him. They're just
haven't they still never made a trade in the season? Isn't that still?
Honestly, right? I don't know if they've made a trade in the season. I don't. Oh no, they did the Vucevic trade, the Vucevic for Franz Wagner pick and Wendell Carter Jr.
That was during the season.
That was during the season. That was Sam. That was during the COVID season, and then Zach immediately got COVID after the trade, and they missed the playoffs. And then Franz Wagner was the pick because they got like the 8th pick in the draft or whatever, wherever Franz was. Might have been 7.
Jesus Christ. God, that COVID, it's crazy that the COVID draft is like one of the best drafts we've ever had.
Well, that was the second COVID draft. That was the 2021 COVID draft. It wasn't even the first one where basketball got shut down 2020. They played basketball, but the Bulls just made the decision to make that trade in the season for some reason. And then just ended up fucking them over. Also, they still owe the Spurs a top 10 protected pick. So that would be the reason why they're choosing to go in this direction, right? Like they have this pick that's top 10 protected that the Spurs own. They want to finish out inside the top 10, so they keep the pick. And then from there, they can maybe jumpstart their rebuild, right? I'm assuming that means everyone's available on the roster. It sounds like they're going to try to hold out for a first for Vucevic, but also we're 9 days away from the trade deadline. Anything can change between now and then. Zach LaVine not having a market makes no sense to me. I think that he should probably have a market when you consider, all these teams that are kind of fucked over. We've talked about him potentially going to teams like the Nuggets and the Bucks and stuff like that. But I'm kind of just to the point with them where I'll believe it when I see it. I don't think that they're going to do anything major. I think that they're just going to make Will commented and said they're going to trade Chris Boucher for Jalen Smith and call it a day.
Oh God, Bulls talk always makes me upset, man. Like every time I get like another like reminder of like what has happened there over the last like few years, I can't. I did see like a weird 14.
Masai looks at it and goes, "Sign me up, give me more."
God damn it!
He's saying, "I want to be that."
I saw an interesting deal where it was like a Bulls trade. It was like some weird framework where it was like Julius Randle went to the Heat. The Wolves, what the Wolves got back for Julius Randle was Lonzo.
Yeah, we talked about this on Trade Machine War Crimes.
Did we? Was that the same? Oh,
yeah,
same trade. Oh, okay.
Didn't we? Or maybe I didn't include the Lonzo one.
Maybe not. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I at least brought it up, but I don't know if we actually looked at it. Okay. It was like
I saw it again today, and I was like, "Oh, it looks good." So.
Yeah. It was Randall for Lonzo and Io wasn't even in the trade. It was literally the reason why I laughed at it was because I was like, this is where Bulls fans or Wolves fans are at with Julius Randle, where they're like, yeah, I know Lonzo only plays like 19 minutes a game and he only has one meniscus left or like a meniscus and a half or something, and also could be bought out apparently. But that's where we're at with Julius Randle at this point, who we just traded Karl Anthony Towns for recently. Lonzo's a good player. He would help a lot of teams, but like, I just don't know how you can trade for him and rely upon him to be like a key member of your rotation if you have goals of, unless you think that he's fully fixed and that he's fine and he can play real minutes. Okay, he's up to 25 minutes per game. That's not bad. But it sounds like Wendy said did you hear who Wendy's two targets for the Cavs were on buyouts?
No, I missed that part.
Lonzo was one, which I was like, I don't know if
he's getting more than the minimum. Do they have like MLE stuff?
I think they technically do. Yeah, I don't think they used their MLE. Did they?
Is that true?
They ran back their whole team. I don't think they ever used
their They're not MLE. Over like an apron or something? That seems crazy.
Well, it also wouldn't really matter.
God, they do. They have $4 million in first apron space. That's crazy.
Yeah, they're one of the few teams that is not over the apron and could just bring in. But like, I guess my point on this was, I don't think it's likely Lonzo gets bought out, but the other guy, I really meant to bring this up for the other guy because the other guy was Ben Simmons. Get Ben a ring, dude.
Can you
Ben
imagine?
Goes to the Cavs. He comes off the bench as like the 8th man.
I don't hate that necessarily.
He plays like 12 minutes a game.
I don't hate that with like certain bench lineups, like him with Karras. Like, let's go. Load me up. Sign me up.
I need to see it. Although George Niang and him have beef because George was here when he requested his trade and sat out, and Niang would just pander to the city. He would just be like, "Fuck Ben Simmons."
Oh, really? I forgot.
Yeah, and everyone was like, "Yeah." I actually, George is a great character, an underrated NBA character. First off, the greatest build in NBA history. Just a complete, just
chunky guy.
Chunk dad bod on 10.
Yeah.
And he used to show up. My favorite thing about George is that he would show up to Sixers games always wearing like different, like he would wear like hockey jerseys. One time he just wore an Entourage shirt. In like 2021, I was like, damn, you're still passionate about Entourage, dude? Let's go.
That's so funny. He's just like us. He's going to stay off our millennial.
Yeah. No, I told you I rewatched Entourage recently, right?
Oh, God. No.
So Lauren had never seen it, so we watched Entourage recently.
I've never seen it.
Dude, it scratches the itch for sure. I'll say that much. If it's just a show to put, we rewatched The OC and Entourage. Those are the two shows we've been rewatching.
Okay, that's like saying, like, oh yeah, we watched The Godfather and Barbie.
Hear me out. Entourage. Now, the most fun part of watching Entourage is you can count You need more than 2 hands to count how many Me Too people are in Entourage. It's literally like dozens of people. And then you'll be like, "Wait, why do I know Brett Ratner's name? I've never heard of Brett Ratner before." And then you Google him and you're like, "Oh, he's a pervert and a potential criminal." And there are so many people littered throughout that show. I think 2 of the main cast members literally had allegations against them.
Oh yeah.
But the first 2 seasons of that show were very funny. At a minimum, they were very funny. Then it gets kind of whatever after that, but I enjoyed it on rewatch. Like from an entertainment standpoint, it has no cultural value or anything. It is. I've always said the thing about Entourage that's funny to me is that like I think that it kind of ruined our generation in a way because it made everyone think that they could get rich without ever having to do anything.
Yeah.
Which really, the only people that get rich are people who inherit it or people who literally throw away their entire lives to work. Like that's pretty much it. The Entourage is not a realistic outcome for literally anyone.
They've never gotten pure straight white guy entertainment as purely distilled as they did in Entourage.
Yeah.
Like that is like turbo like that's like the ayahuasca of like white guy entertainment is like Entourage. Like you can't take a big hit of Entourage or it'll like
purely concentrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hits you. I was surprised how
one-shotted by Entourage. Shout out to Flopper. That's a great joke.
Johnny Drama changed my life.
Meanwhile, the OC was the first show to ever have class consciousness on
the OC is
television.
Great.
The OC is goated, so goated.
Fantastic show.
If you're a younger, one of our younger audience members, I know Trill and I talk a lot about like good millennial. That is like one of our cultural touchstones that I stand by. Got to check out the OC.
Peter Gallagher made it cool to have eyebrows like that before Luigi Mangione did it.
Dude, he was like, that's like who I wanted to be like my whole life. That changed the direction of my life. Was like I wanted to be Sandy Cohen so fucking bad, dude. Like,
well, the thing you posted about it was like some conservative guy was like reminiscing on like how amazing life was in the OC and stuff.
Yeah.
And if you watch the show at all, there's no way you could come away from that show and have that conclusion as like a nostalgic conservative guy.
No,
because the rich people are like fucking evil in that show.
Yeah, the like the villain of the show is like the high society of the OC. It's like all the heroes, everyone's like an outcast, like for various reasons. Like all the main characters, everybody's rich still. Like they found a way around that, but like
Sandy's very clearly the moral center of the show, and he was raised by basically like a socialist mom, who hates rich people, and he gives away his life because he marries rich, and he gives away his life to do like a public service.
Yeah.
And then the whole plot of the show is that they take in someone who is less fortunate than them and they like make it so that he can have a normal life. And obviously he has to overcome all of these obstacles that just being raised in the area that he was raised in and in the house that he was raised in, he wasn't given these opportunities. And all the rich people are like legitimately like deep. It's basically like, what if we gave a soap opera a huge budget?
Yeah.
But made it more interesting. And all of the rich characters in the show are just like cartoonishly evil. Yes. They're not like, it's not even like there's no subtext to it. It's not, it bashes you over the head.
It's not a hard show to understand. It was on network. It was on Fox in 2004 during the Bush years. So subtext can't necessarily be there. I mean, the show literally like, now that I think about it, the show did kind of ruin my life. I think I like subconsciously, I was like, I'll be like Sandy Cohen, where I'll have like a job that I feel good about, but like doesn't make a lot of money, but I'll have like a rich wife. And I just, it's 20 years later. Fuck. Well, surely the rich wife thing I'll figure out at some point here.
You'll get there. Don't worry about it. She's listening right now.
Yeah. Julie Cooper.
Queen.
Yeah,
Total queen.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
we do love Julie Cooper.
Julie Cooper. But that's the other funny thing about the show was like both Rachel Bilson's character Summer and Julie Cooper like were not they're not like accredited cast members. They're guest stars for like the first 6 episodes.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, go back and look. Neither of them were supposed to be like a big part of the show, but then like they killed it. So they like rewrote the show. Like,
yeah, no, they're definitely main parts of the show. I would say they're part of the core. If you're building a team, they're part of that core.
Shout out to Josh Schwartz, man. Like the Prince of Providence, Rhode Island. You gave us Gossip. Yeah, gave us Gossip Girl. Gave us gave us Chuck, which
that's real slop right there.
Yeah, that is like slop. He was like the kind of the showrunner. He wasn't as involved. Chuck was his other big show that he did. But the lady he brought out of the woodwork to like pick the songs for those shows.
Mm-hmm.
But all those songs have amazing soundtracks, and like I think she like single-handedly like changed like listening dynamics in America, because all of a sudden like everyone was like listening to Block Party and shit because like they were like on these things. So anyway,
because amazing. Of the OC.
Yeah, the OC, and like
there were bands in there I didn't even remember that when I rewatched it I was like, I don't remember this band being that popular. But half of the episodes where they get big, like when the Killers were on, like half the episode just becomes like an advertisement for their music. Which is cool. I like the Killers' music, but like it's just funny how it becomes like the center of the episode when they like go to a concert or
Wow, it's Brandon Flowers. Did you know that the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints is actually one of the fastest growing churches in America?
The OC just turns into a commercial for Mormonism.
I mean, when the Killers
which is a
are
very
on there,
2003 thing.
That's basically what the Killers are, is a Mormon. Mormon.
I always forget that.
Them and Brandon Sanderson, the two are two cultural Mormon success stories.
Well, it is the most American religion that there is. So
it is. Low key, one of our least. As far as evangelical, I kind of count Mormons as evangelical.
Imagine Dragons are Mormon.
Oh, that's crazy.
I mean, that makes total sense. That makes a lot of sense. They make like the lowest common denominator music of anyone ever.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the clip that's like Howard Stern, where he has them on and he asks them to do the song live, and he's like doing it like a conductor, and they're doing it's really funny that someone just commented Gen Z Nickelback, because the first time I heard them, I said, this is like if Nickelback was even worse. Because Nickelback at least had that first album that had like some okay songs, then they became really passé after that.
Yeah.
But like Imagine Dragons was dog shit from the jump. And they had that Lightning and the Thunder. So he has them doing Lightning and the Thunder like one by one. And then I'm like, this is Howard Stern, who used to literally have Artie Lang on to talk about how he smoked crack.
He's had people ride the Sibian in the studio. Like it's like
somehow he has
Shock Jocks for that's a lost art. The Shock Jocks.
He has all of Imagine Dragons breaking down one of the worst songs I've ever heard in my life, one by one. It's the most formulaic garbage of all time. Will said, let's talk about Slop. What other Slop is there to talk about? I've run through basically everything. The only other thing is that Vincent Goodwill is pushing out the same story he's pushed out all year, which is that Joel Embiid wants Jimmy Butler to play for the Sixers. Are we surprised? Are we shocked?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Man. Oh, wow. This has not been the case for 5 fucking years. There's no information out there that is new other than that. And even that, it's the 3rd time he's done it this year. They're not trading Paul George for Jimmy Butler. I would like them to do that, but I don't think they're going to do it. Also, actually, you know what I did? I'm actually hoping you didn't hear this, Slop. I did miss a big piece of Slop. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
The Toronto Raptors have expressed interest in Brandon Ingram, according to Mark Stein.
I've been waiting for this one.
I knew you would love that one.
I love it. I fucking love it. The Jacoby Walter, Brandon Ingram 2-man game. Cinema.
I just got chills all over my body. I think I have a disease now.
Let's go.
Dude, that is one of they've won 6 of 7. Masai's sees that 10 seed and says,
I fixed their season, by the way.
Well, how'd you fix their season?
I think the first start of that stretch was me going to watch them.
Right.
Getting Turbo owned. Not a great trip for me in many respects.
So it's really funny that They are on a streak now where they didn't tank the Wemby year.
Yeah.
Great decision. Especially when you look at that top 4 and you go, well, Amen's awesome now.
Oh, God.
Brandon Miller's was really good. I know he's regressed. He got injured this year, but he's still good.
He's good, yeah.
Wemby's amazing. Scoot's really the only miss right now, and he's at least started to look a little bit normal at times. And you look at, they lost their pick the next year when they tried to tank to keep their pick, which is why they took back like kind of underwhelming offers for Pascal Siakam. And I guess the OG one was not as underwhelming if they thought they were going to try to win now. But the Pacers one, like they just got Bruce Brown, and it was the Richeche draft, and also like the worst. We knew it was terrible. So the pick goes away, and you're like, all right, whatever. It's not that big a deal but now they have a chance to tank again with Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper at the top of this draft, and they're choosing to potentially chase the play-in.
This has gotta suck so bad for fucking Raptors fans, man. And you know what's crazy is like, because it like, is Darko a good coach, by the way? Do we think? I've been kind of going back and forth on that. Like, I can't really tell if he's a good coach or not. The answer
no,
probably
Darko
just
sucks.
normal.
No,
okay.
No, I mean, look, once again, I don't really know if I can appropriately judge any coach that gets inherited into that situation.
Yeah.
Like where it's like he very clearly got hired after their window was over.
Yes.
And then the team kind of refused to accept that, and then accidentally was too good the first half of the season. Then they tried to tank the second half of the season, if I remember correctly, and they failed at it. And then this year they've been injured up and down the roster. But I don't know. I'm the wrong guy to ask. I don't really think coaching matters that much unless you literally have like Spo or like maybe 2 other coaches in the NBA. But I just think no coach is going to do well with that roster. And especially with their injury luck this year with that roster.
Yeah.
It did feel like they were leaning more into the tank, right?
I thought so, but then like, I don't know, I guess, I mean, quickly, I mean, they did get healthy, right? Because like quickly was out for a while. And it seems like as much as I made fun of that, that does seem like it like kind of made a difference for them a little bit. The defense has been really good, right? Like I think they've been one of the top defenses in this stretch, if I'm remembering my little.
I also don't know how to judge January basketball.
I mean, that's also true. Like, you know,
because like everyone's freaking out about the Celtics right now. And I'm like, do they even really care? Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, they're not as good as last year. Okay, they were like historically good last year. Yeah. I just think like the Sixers are winning games, and our team's a fucking joke, dude. Like, and also they've only won 2 in a row, I think, and but they're competing in games against like good teams, dude. They just beat the Cavs the other night. Like, I don't know. I don't really use January as the measuring stick for judging basketball. I think I usually use October when the season starts, November, December, to see what teams really look like. And then I wait again until like the playoffs, basically. I really am not kidding. Like, I really don't think that I know it's not great to say that on a basketball podcast where I'm trying to sell you guys on caring more, but like, there have been plenty of games I've watched recently where I'm like, I don't even know if half of these guys give a shit right now. And I don't blame them. The season's really long. They don't want to get injured. There's not a ton of motivation to try all the time.
No.
And then also, yeah, the 2 weeks before the deadline, there's always guys in and out of the lineup. Teams will look different after the deadline. We'll get to judge them for those few weeks until we hit the, middle of Mickey Mouse March, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, we're gonna see. I mean, the Brandon Ingram trade would do kind of fucking miracles on me because he's expiring, if I remember correctly. Right?
He is, yeah.
So they would be entering in a 3rd giant fucking contract under their books. I don't even know who you trade.
Fourth. Well, I guess RJ Barrett isn't massive, but he still makes what, $25 million a year?
$25 million.
I'm assuming that
I forgot about was Scotty Barnes. Which is
Scotty's on a max.
Yeah,
and then quickly makes $35 a year.
Yeah,
and then RJ's contract's whatever. Like I don't feel a strong way about it either way, but But to add on Brandon Ingram, who wants to get paid on top of that, maybe this leak might be one of two things. It might be the Pelicans saying, oh, fuck, we have no market. The Raptors have expiring contracts. Look at Bruce Brown and Kelly Olynyk and, well, I don't even think Chris Boucher or whatever. Can we drum up some fake interest around that? Or it could be, you could look at it the other way, and it could be the Raptors saying, sure, we'll take Brandon Ingram if he's for free. Like literally just to fill a salary slot, basically, and like get him on like a $25 million a year deal next year, which if it wasn't that team, I wouldn't hate it. Like, I don't hate the idea. I just don't get, like, if you're adding it to a core of what they think their core is, which is Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley. The core just isn't good enough, first off. And then second off, if they are adding it to that, it's just it's a clunky fit. Like, it's just a weird fucking fit.
I think there is a spot for Brandon Ingram, because I do think you're going to be able to squeeze Brandon Ingram if you have his contract. Like, nobody's fucking paying him. Like, he's gonna have to choose between the MLE or getting $25 million a year. So like he could be on a Jalen Green contract, which I think for him is fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, in certain contexts, but it probably can't be a good team, and it's got to be. Maybe the Raptors. I guess the Raptors do have a good defense. I'm kind of talking myself into it. I'm going to be honest. It depends on what the price is.
So what would the starting lineup look like? Would it be Emmanuel Quickley?
Yeah.
But then again, like, is Grady Dick coming off the bench?
No.
So who are you bringing off the bench?
So it's Scotty Barnes. It's RJ Barrett at the 2. Ingram's the 3.
Grady Dick's a power forward because he's not coming off the bench.
Oh wait, fuck yeah! So I guess RJ Barrett has to come off the bench. Yeah.
See, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Once again, RJ goes. I guess RJ just goes back to the Pelicans in the trade. Like, do they accept just taking RJ?
I actually saw a really funny post earlier from Austin from Heat Twitter, where he was talking about the Julius Randle rumors. And it was exactly what you always say, which is like, oh, just bring him off the bench. And I'm like, Julius Randle is made all NBA teams. He's not coming off the bench. And he literally throughout the tweet was like, actually, I could buy into him being like a super 6 man for us. Yeah. And, I don't really love the fit with whatever. And then by the end of the tweet, he was like, fuck it. Fuck Julius Randle. And I was like, that's exactly how I feel about. And it's not to say that like Randle and Ingram and all these guys aren't talented or good. It's just to say that, like, why are you altering your entire team to make them work?
Yes,
Shouldn't it be the other way around?
Exactly.
Like,
yes.
Like, why are we catering towards the 40th, 50th, 60th best player in the NBA, who's getting paid, by the way, when it should be the other way? They should try to assimilate to us as opposed to the other way around. But yeah,
it's depressing. I don't know. I think it's good.
Okay, this is an interesting one. I've seen people throw this out there. Will just commented it. Maybe you trade RJ Barrett for Brandon Ingram and you reunite RJ Barrett with Zion.
That's what I would say. That's what I think the trade is. Yeah.
So if that's the trade, then it might make a little bit more sense. I mean, I know Raptors fans are high on RJ Barrett. I don't know if their front office is, to be honest, because it feels like his fit with Scotty is just really clunky. Yeah. Not that Ingram's a clean fit by any means. He does shoot
cleaner
more,
though,
right?
Yeah,
like
cleaner,
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Hold on. I need to look at RJ Barrett's shooting stats because
RJ Barrett, DeJounte. Oh my god.
Oh my god. No, never mind. Pelicans fans. Richard Normal's going to send a pipe bomb to my house when he hears this.
Oh, Slop Fest would be slop all of us watching that game and throwing up onto our sneakers.
Okay, so RJ shooting 35% on 5 threes per game this year. Not horrible.
Not bad. Yeah.
No, he shoots really well from 2. He's 52% on 12 twos per game. Wow. He's still a 67% free throw shooter. He's averaging 22 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists. It's like his stats always look better than when you watch the game. That's always the case with RJ Barrett. And he's another guy that's just really hard to fit on teams. I don't think Brandon Ingram gets traded at this deadline. That's my gut feeling. I think he gets signed and traded this offseason.
Yeah.
Also, the Canadian soil theory that I had about RJ.
Yeah.
When they got traded 25-7-5 on 50, 38, 74 splits at home. That's actually really good.
Yeah, he was actually pretty good in the game that I went to too. Like it was yeah.
RJ Barrett is exactly the kind of guy that Karnisovis will try to trade Zach for. I would do that if I were the Raptors.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that would be great.
They need shooting.
Yeah, Zach would be great for them. We've talked about that.
We've talked about that for like 2 years.
Yeah.
It does not seem like either party wants anything to do with that. So
sure. All right. Before we get out of here, Trill, ALGS predictions starts tonight.
What is it?
ALGS, Apex Legends Global Series. One of the greatest professional sports. So.
Oh, okay. I think the racist guy's gonna win.
Possibly. I mean, you're talking about Imperial Hal and his Falcon squad. There's 2 Australians. They have Zero and Walty. Walty, of course, coming over, and then
are Sneeko and Kyrie going to be there?
Sneeko will not be there. I don't think Kyrie will be there either. I think FaZe has a team though. So
cool, awesome.
So we'll see. I'll be streaming on playback for ALGS after this. If you guys want to like hop on and watch, we'll see.
For some reason, this episode felt like it was 3 hours, and it was not even 2.
It wasn't 2. No, I was gonna say I don't know. I feel like we were drunk off the slop.
Yeah, we were
drunk off the slop. Yeah. We didn't know how to.
We even had a millennial hour built in there, and it was not 2 hours. I feel like
I think what Will, I'm going to blame it on Will because he took our eye off the ball by letting us know that there was a trade value Bill Simmons to listen to.
Yeah, it's been a little bit in the back of my head.
Yeah, I was going to say I feel like I this whole time I've been running computing data. I mean, I've also been tweeting, but like I've been running the computing data in the back of my hand to try to figure out what that is. So,
by the way, remember last Patreon episode when I said to you like Bill picking the Commanders? And I was like, it was just entirely vibes-based analysis, even though the Eagles are very clearly the much better team.
Yes.
And it was like driving me a little bit insane. He said after that game that he didn't feel bad about picking the Commanders. And I was like, the Eagles scored the most points of any team in the history of the championship game. No one's ever scored 55 points in the and honestly, they kind of left points on the field. They missed the field goal. Like the fact that like you could come away from that game feeling good about the Commander season and like what Jaden Daniels did and their future and stuff.
That was my takeaway is that Jaden Daniels is him and just
but that's also obvious and like this scenario I talked about it ad nauseum before the game with some friends. I talked about it with other Eagles fans. This scenario where the rookie quarterback or the young quarterback gets there with like a flawed team but he carries them, their ceiling is always the conference finals, and that's good. I'm not saying it's not, but like the thing that people have done all year is underestimate how insanely good this Eagles team is. And I felt like I was going a little bit insane when 7 of the 10 analysts on ESPN the other day picked them. And I was like, what is going on with like Bill's supposed to be the playoff manifesto guy. And then he just completely ignores all of his rules. Don't pick the hot team that blew out another team. Don't pick the team with a young quarterback. Like it's all, and not to say that it was Jaden Daniels' fault at all, because he was still pretty good in that game. But it just blew my mind that you could come to that conclusion after watching both of these teams all season. So anyway.
Bill hates the Eagles, man. It will. I do think the Eagles winning would be really funny because Bill would then have to talk about it. He's never been more raw. Like you can tell he's still kind of pissed about this. Like that the Eagles are good.
I think that first off, he already has pivoted to he appreciates greatness now that the Chiefs are potentially getting a three-peat.
Sure, yeah.
Which is like the most anyone has ever coped ever in the history. I actually think it's great. What's funny is that like. I feel like he should probably have more of a visceral hatred towards the Giants than the Eagles. I know the Giants are relevant, but like the Giants are the ones that took away history from you guys.
It's a gambling thing.
Just beat them. Like,
no, it's a gambling thing. It's 100% a gambling. He's
bad about them because they didn't cover a ton.
I think it was last year. He soured on them last year because I think he tried to bet on them last year. And like he's been pissed at them all year. Like it's always a gambling thing with like Bill. Like
I forgot about that.
That's the built-in thing with Bill is like. Any of his weird things, like he has the same weird hangups that I do where I like get mad at Presti and all the other stuff, but all of his stuff is like rooted in gambling.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And your football stuff was fantasy football this year. So it's not.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. Very similar. Yeah. I was going to say it's the diet, the non-alcoholic version of sports gambling, fantasy football.
Last thing, just we'll talk about all this shit a little bit more in the Patreon episode in the next week.
Yeah.
My Celtics Eagles corollary is in a little bit of trouble.
Uh-oh.
Because everything has happened exactly how I predicted, except for the Chiefs getting to the Super Bowl instead of the Bills. Because I said the parallel between the Bills and the Mavs was strong. But Mahomes making it back, they didn't beat Steph Curry the second time.
That's true.
This is basically like if Jokic made it last year to the finals.
Yes, yeah. No, Steph Curry is right. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think it's Steph Curry. Like,
yeah,
if it's the Warriors are back again, like,
well, the Eagles are undefeated in Super Bowl rematches. That's a fact.
That's true.
1-1.
It would be. They stopped the Patriots three-peat.
Because they won in between the two Patriots Super Bowls, and then they also Jalen Hurts broke the curse of Jim Kelly, which he's the first quarterback to make it back to the Super Bowl after losing his first Super Bowl since Jim Kelly in the 90s. I would like to not be the 90s Bills. Personally, I would not like to lose four Super Bowls. That would not be ideal. Yeah. But I'm honestly, I'm not. This is definitely a little bit of pre-coping because we're going up against the greatest player I've ever seen, and possibly the Michael Jordan / LeBron James of his generation. But I'm very happy to be back in the Super Bowl. It feels good. Feels great, folks. We love to see it. The Sixers only bring me pain, and the Eagles only bring me joy.
Let's go. What
are you gonna do? Stab me a second time, Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, it's sad to see this happen. I'm totally like black-pilled. Like, so I don't know. I don't think I might not have a job anymore. You know, like there's just lots of things going on.
Don't worry about that. That's not real.
Yeah, that's not real. No, because if I didn't have a job, it would just like group homes would just shut down. Like it'd just be like, like.
Look, if the people that lose jobs that we think could lose jobs, we're going into the purge. We're all fine.
Yeah. yeah. I was gonna say there will be no.
We're in the Chinese century already.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mr. Xi Jinping, help us, Mr. Xi Jinping.
Yes, we will be one of the nations that you will have to support us with infrastructure.
Deploy DeepSeek. President Xi, you must seize the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah, every time I worry about anything in my life, I just remember that Trump got elected for a second time, and I'm like, nothing matters. Yeah, let's be honest.
Dude, that is so funny. Like, the fact that America elected him twice is so fucking sick, man. That's awesome.
U.S. Navy bans the use of DeepSeek due to security and ethical concerns. Literally reasons, just happens.
Sure. Open source, yeah. The ethical problems with open source.
I hope the Chinese love slop as much as we do.
We really do need to learn Mandarin or use DeepSeek to.
I was gonna say I'll just use DeepSeek to convert all the podcasts to Mandarin, and then we'll expand our audience.
Yeah,
like Mr. Beast does.
AI is more ethical with the DeepSeek because it's not as bad. Like you know what I'm saying. So it's still not good, but it's not as bad. So
there's NBA fans on Red Note. There you go. We're ready. We're ready. Take us over, baby.
Mr. G, please make us the official state-sponsored podcast of the NBA.
I met a guy at a concert once. He told me you were great. So
let's go.
All right, let's get out of here.
I'm going to go watch ALGS. Everyone, any predictions on the comments? Fire them away. I'll be rooting for 100 Thieves. It's Timmy. It's his time to shine. Falcons, I don't think that they're going to be really ready this year, but also Team Liquid Alienware playing really well.